Interesting questions and important answers and opportunity. This is Thoughtful Beliefs.
Who hasn't asked this question? But to get into it, let's look at something we can identify with a little bit more. Who or what tore up this house? Now, you can use the properties of a scene like this to determine who or what the culprit was. I mean, there was a family of bears spotted eyeing the house. There was some severe winds on the day the event occurred, and there was some shady guy caught on the house's video camera trying to get in the windows and the doors. Now, using these properties shown here, who or what is the culprit? So based on these properties, if I were now to say, well, I believe it was just the wind, your mind would object. Because based on those properties, it's pretty clear that the shady guy on the camera is the one we should be looking for. Now, you might not know the actual terms for the tests for truth, the standards that we've used in science and in other areas to judge these different theories. But you can just do it with your common sense as you did with this house. So now let's apply these same tests for truth and the same properties of a scene to the scene of the beginning of the universe to determine who or what the cause was. As noted in the other videos, because the universe, all of nature, had a beginning, and this is illustrated in the image where that blue line will be the moment of the beginning of the universe, all of matter, energy, space, and time came into existence. They had a beginning. If that's true, one of the properties of the cause of the universe has to be that it must be outside of nature. If nature's what's created, you can't have a natural cause. It has to transcend or be outside of nature. Also, since time itself had a beginning, and it's tied to the fabric of space-time, if time had a beginning, whatever the cause was has to be outside of time, eternal, an uncaused first cause. Philosophers and scientists have always known there needed to be an uncaused first cause. They just assumed it was the universe. But once you found that the universe isn't eternal, it had a beginning, you need something else that's outside of time. Also, another property of the cause of the universe is it has to have more power than the sum of all the power in the universe put together. Because the universe, when it first came into existence, it had the most amount of energy to do work over time. That's power. And because of the second law of thermodynamics, as time goes on, that energy is getting used up. So when you go back in time to that very moment of beginning, it had the most power it's going to have. Now, the cause is going to be greater than its effect. So the cause has to be greater in power than the sum of all the power in the universe. Also, there's the law of conservation of matter and energy, where matter is neither created nor destroyed, yet all of matter came into existence. That is miraculous by definition. Now, let's say if it's an isolated system. Now, if it's not an isolated system, let's say it's part of a multiverse. Even the multiverse itself is going to require a beginning and have that same question. You need to have something that can bring all this into existence out of nothing, which is violating a natural law. Or it's at least, in our universe, it's miraculously rare because it's happened that one time. There are more interesting properties to discover. But just taking the ones we have now, looking at those properties of the first cause, this cause must be supernatural, eternal, all-powerful, and miracle-working. What does that sound like to you? And that's not just me trying to make this science fit the Bible. This is what the Bible gave over 3,000 years before science discovered this was what was needed for the cause. Is this proof that the biblical God is the cause of the universe? No. Science doesn't believe in proof. And even the God of the Bible doesn't have a goal of proof that you would believe that he exists. The goal is to have a relationship with you. If the goal were for you just to have proof, like you just solve some equation, and then you can have that relationship with God, well then heaven would look like this. Well, except for Pretty Penny, she wouldn't quite make it. Since there's not proof, are there other options aside from the biblical God for cause of the universe that are possible? Sure, there are other possible options, but the question is, are they reasonable? That's what we're going to look into in the next video.